guys, and welcome back to another video. I am really excited to film this video today. I feel like I start all of my camp videos off like that because they just get me so excited for camp. But today I'm going to do like a myth busting summer camp edition video, and I asked on my Instagram, I want to say a couple of weeks ago now, just for any myths that you guys have that you've maybe heard of in terms of camp and kind of things that you maybe think camp is like but you're not actually sure. And I just want to kind of give my opinion on whether I think they're true or they're false. Little disclaimer, I just want to point out that I've only ever worked at one summer camp in America, so some of these things might vary camp to camp, but I'll try and touch on that when I talk about each point. But yeah, I've only worked at one camp, so please bear that in mind. Okay, I'm gonna jump straight in, and the first one is that there is no time alone. So I personally do think this is true. There is very little time by yourself just because of the environment you're in at camp. Again, for my camp, we are a huge camp. We have 300 plus staff and like 550 campers. So there's a lot of people at camp all the time. So you've got to think about, when would you normally have time to yourself? Chances are you're not going to have that same time by yourself at camp. But I think also the beauty of going to camp is that you're not going to be by yourself. You're not going to sit by yourself of an evening and spend your time off on your own. You're going to meet new people and have an experience like this. So I love that you don't get time by yourself. I used to hate my own company. I'm a lot better now that I've got older, but as a kid I hated my own company. Like, I literally would be annoying my mum and dad all the time because I couldn't sit by myself. So I thrive in a camp environment because I'm around people all the time, and chances are if you're going to camp you are a people person and you like being around people because that's kind of just the nature of this experience. There are definitely times throughout the summer that you can have like an hour to yourself or just take a breather or anything like that. At my camp we have periods off, so say if you had a period 3 off on a Monday, you would be able to just go back and chill in the bunk if the kids are at activities, or you could go and join in and do something else if it was available to do, or go to the staff lounge, or different things like that. So at my camp you do have the occasional hour or so. I want to say every day, maybe not every day, but a lot of the times when you can have some time off and there's like full coverage in the bunk. Also on your nights off or days off, if you are really exhausted, your social battery is dead, you just don't want to go out with a load of people, you can stay in. Like, that is completely fine. Obviously at the end of the day this is your summer, so spend it however you wanted. There's people that did want to stay in and just got an early night and spent the day off just maybe going shopping by themselves or just having a wander, going out for food, staying in the staff room. It's completely up to you. But again, you want to go to spend time with people. You will meet the most incredible friends at camp and you want to spend as much time with them, because before you know it, camp will be over and you'll all be scattered over the globe. So yeah, take advantage of being with so many people. Okay, next is that 25 is too old for your first time going to camp. I don't think this is true at all. I don't think, obviously there is an age limit because you can't get a visa past a certain age, but as long as you fall within the brackets of being able to get a visa, I don't think there's ever an age that is too young or too old. I think age is one of those things that really doesn't matter at camp. I went to camp my first summer at 19 years old and one of my best friends at camp was 26, and it didn't matter. It wasn't a case of like, oh, like you can't be friends with someone because they're 26 years old. You don't feel like that. Everyone feels like the same age when you're at camp, and it really isn't a thing that matters. And it's always one of those things that I say to people, if you're going to look back in 10 years and have not gone to camp, would you really regret it? Chances are the answer is yes if you're thinking about going now. So don't let being 25, 26, 27 put you off going to camp if it's something you really want to do. I'm 26 this year and still going. Granted, I obviously started when I was 19, but if I had a passion for camp and I could get a visa now and I was going for the first time, I 100% would. Okay, the next one is that the campers find it harder to get close to people who aren't American. I could not disagree with this one more personally. Now, again, it might depend on camps. Like, some people might have completely different experiences with this, but at my camp, I haven't found that at all. I have connected, and so have the international staff members that I've worked with at camp have connected so well with their group of kids. Sometimes it might take you a little bit longer. Obviously, there might be barriers, language barriers, different things. So just take your time with it. Don't rush anything. But I have never really experienced campers isolating international staff because they'd only want to be close to American staff. Obviously, we have ex-campers that as they get old enough, they become counsellors, and obviously those kids have grown up together, they know each other, so they obviously have that relationship already. Like, I've never found it hard to connect with my campers or any other staff really, whether that's international or American. Again, I think all the people that are going to camp are going for the reasons of wanting to meet new people and form amazing relationships with people from all over the world. So yeah, I disagree with that one. Okay, the next one is that you're always tired. Now, Camp is a very hard job. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, and there will be days when you are absolutely exhausted and you're like, right, I'm throwing the towel in, I can't do this anymore. But all the amazing things that come from camp outweigh all of the tiredness and feeling exhausted and maybe missing home. Like, it really does. It's an experience like no other. And like I mentioned, it goes so fast. Like, you're only on the program only lasts for like 8 or 9 weeks, and then you either fly home or you do some traveling or different things. It goes so fast. Like, even just the run up to camp goes so fast. So you can only imagine when you're there and you've got so much to do, you've got so much going on, your days are so full. It goes so fast. So yeah, there might be days where you feel absolutely exhausted and you do feel really tired. I do think it maybe hits, for me anyway, like week 5 of the summer, I think I get to a point I'm like, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted, because you're in an environment where like FOMO is real. Like, camp, you don't want to miss out on certain things. So there would be nights that me and my friends would agree to like have a cozy night in, we'd go like, watch a movie, we'd go and just like stargaze at camp, and then everyone's talking about like going out. I'm like, oh, like I've got to go. And that, obviously, in hindsight, there's some nights that you should just be like, you know what, I do need to go tonight, I need to catch up on sleep, I need to feel refreshed tomorrow. But the FOMO is real, and you do want to spend time with your friends, and you do want to go and do fun things, and you want to use your nights off to get off camp and do different things, whether it's just going for a shop or going to the bar or going out for food. Like, you want to enjoy the time off that you have, but then sometimes you're like, but I'm then gonna get to sleep at like 12:30, 1 o'clock and be absolutely exhausted. So it is hard to find a balance, but I do really recommend to try and find a balance. If there are nights when you're just like, no, I'm too tired, I can't do this, please listen to your body and try and just have a night in, but obviously balance it out with still wanting to go out and spend time with people and have a good time with your nights off and days off. And just lean on the people around you, talk to your co-counsellors, talk to your head staff if you are feeling really run down, and communicate how you're feeling. And yeah, just know it's normal. It's normal to feel tired, but it also comes with so many amazing parts of camp as well. Okay, next up is that you can't dry or straighten your hair. Now, this again will completely kind of depend on the camp. Some camps will probably have a like no heat tool policy kind of thing. Obviously, most of the times at camp you live in a wooden bunk. It is a big fire hazard to take hair straighteners and curlers and hair dryers and different things like that. So it is something that I would recommend checking in with your camp or talking to people that have been to that camp before, just to kind of find out what is and isn't allowed. But for me personally, I don't tend to use a hair dryer anyway. I normally let my hair air dry, even with extensions in, and these are with heatless curls, guys. Sorry, again, a little side note, but in terms of what I will take to camp, I will be taking my heatless curlers, because I haven't used heat on my hair since I had it done in the hairdressers a week ago now, and yeah, these are literally just from heatless curls. It saves so much time. I don't have to set time aside to like curl or do something to my hair. I can just sleep in these. So yeah, maybe have a look at some heatless curl options. Check in with your camp to see what is and isn't allowed. Again, the rules will be completely different, but it is normally a fire hazard to obviously have straighteners and curlers and stuff. So yeah. Okay, probably my most asked or like most commented myth is that camp is like Love Island, and I get asked this all the time in terms of kind of relationships at camp and just like, does it have a Love Island feel? And in terms of the fact that there is a bunch of 18 to 28-year-old people thrown into an environment where you spend all day together, you have like, you work together, you have all your evenings off together, you have your days off together, like it is essentially the same environment as Love Island in a way that you can compare it to that, if that makes sense. But it's not something that is kind of like pushed onto people in a way that it's not like everyone has to be getting with someone. Like, it's not like that at all. In obviously when you compare Love Island, like it's a dating show, like it's not like that. People will obviously find someone at camp that they like or they're wanting to get to know, or like I know people that have literally met at camp, have been together for years, married, have kids, everything. Like, you could find your camp sweetheart, who knows, but it's definitely not pushed onto people at all. It is an environment where you can find someone if that's what you're after. If you're not, that's completely fine. But yeah, it is always funny because it is just a strange environment when you're in it. And another one that I'm going to talk on actually that kind of relates to this, someone asked about like, all relationships end when you get to camp, and again, this is going to be so dependent on the relationship you're in and the person you're with. I'm going to be so honest, I have been to camp this is my 5th summer now. My first 2 summers, it's actually so funny. My first 2 summers, I was with an ex and I broke up with him whilst I was at camp because it just wasn't for me. It wasn't working out. And it then happened again. Oh, that's so funny. I can't believe I'm actually saying that out loud. But for me personally, I am now with my boyfriend that I met out in Australia and I absolutely adore him. And I just know that, like, like it's one of those things when you get to camp, if you're in a relationship with someone, you'll know if it's the right person, and that sounds so cheesy, but this is the first time being with someone that I've felt like this at camp, where I just feel everything's so easy and there's no pressure with anything. But yeah, it's definitely not a case of anyone that goes to camp in a relationship ends up not in one. That's definitely not how it works. So yeah, it obviously is tough. It is a hard thing being long distance anyway, and it's hard when camp is such a full-on environment that you do want to find time to talk to someone and you want to make sure you can FaceTime and check in and different things. So as long as you have a good balance, again, of being able to still do that but enjoy camp as well, everything will go really smoothly and you'll just be so excited to see your partner at the end of the summer. And yeah, it's just exciting. Okay, next I want to talk about is that you stay with the same campers every summer and move up with them. Now, again, this is going to completely depend on the camp, and it's going to kind of depend on, my camp anyway, it kind of depends on like your preferences as well. So obviously in the main, it is very normal to move up with your kids. I've started with my girls when they were 7 years old and they're going to be 14 this year, which is wild. So it kind of just depends. I personally have loved wanting to move up with them and I've always asked to move up with them, but I know some counsellors that love the age group and want to stay with the division and say want to always work with the youngest kids on camp or the oldest, for example. So it kind of depends, but that one's kind of like not true or false because yeah, a lot of factors will be taken into account. But most of the time at my camp, it is definitely normal to move up with your kids if you want to, and if you want to stay in the division that you were in before, you can. Okay, the last one I'm going to talk about is that camp is haunted. This one makes me laugh so much because I posted a TikTok literally one of the first days I got to camp last summer, and the amount of people that were commenting on it, like, this camp must be haunted, like there's so many ghost stories about camp, different things, and everyone kept commenting that it was like from a video game. I can't remember what it was called, but loads of people kept commenting saying that there was a video game that people played where a load of like camp counsellors went to camp early and someone like turned into a werewolf or something. I don't know the ins and outs of this video game, but it was so funny that people were like commenting it as if it was real. And now some camps might have haunted stories, I don't know. My camp, as far as I know, is not haunted, so this one makes me laugh. But comment down below actually if you've heard about any like haunted stories from camp, whether it's your camp or a different camp, because that would be fascinating and so interesting to know. But yeah, I'm gonna round the video off there. I hope that kind of cleared some things up or gave you like my perspective on some things that I know are common myths and like misconceptions about camp. But yeah, if you have any others or any other questions at all, feel free to leave them down below or drop me a message on Instagram. I'm always happy to help out and answer all your questions. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.